Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about how to handle your 3D reality and more specifically how to dissolve unwanted 3D circumstances. Because we know that the name of the game when it comes to manifesting is persisting in your end result in your imagination as you go about physical reality, but sometimes it can get a little bit tricky when you're handling your physical reality and a set of circumstances that may seemingly be in contrast to what you're holding in your imagination. And I want to talk about how to handle those specific situations so that persisting in your imagination becomes a lot easier, a lot less stressful, and hopefully will help you not fear the 3D reality so much because you'll have a game plan for how to handle these types of circumstances that may come into your reality. Now, what I used to do in the past and what I notice a lot of people still do now is when they have a 3D circumstance that comes into their reality that seemingly contradicts what they're holding in their imagination or what they're persisting in with their imagination, what this 3D experience will cause them to do is kind of freak out a little bit and start persisting over the 3D circumstance or situation that they're experiencing, and sometimes in a way where they're unknowingly affirming or persisting to try and change the situation or the 3D circumstance that has popped up. So basically what just ends up happening is accidentally stop persisting in their imagination to change themselves and rather shift their focus to persisting over the 3D reality, trying to change physical reality. And another thing that can happen sometimes when it comes to triggering situations or 3D sets of circumstances is because we're conscious creators, what we can sometimes do in the face of these unwanted 3D circumstances is start being triggered unfavorably by them in some way and then realize that we're being triggered. And so with a higher level of self-awareness, we can realize that we're freaking out and we don't want to be freaking out. So you start persisting in your imagination to try and make yourself feel better. But what ends up happening is because you're doing it from the state of freaking out, you just accidentally end up continuing to perpetuate the state of freaking out. So what they're accidentally doing is perpetuating the situation, and more specifically, perpetuating the state of being that your desire is not there. So it kind of becomes this like jumbled mess. And as we know, when it comes to manifesting, the way that we manifest is changing ourselves, our inner world, our state of being. And actually, while we're on the topic, I want to bring up a couple comments that I get on my YouTube videos about what I call persisting through the tears. I get a lot of people who comment that I persisted as I was crying, as I was having an emotional reaction, as I was freaking out, or as my SP was showing up in an unfavorable way, and I still got my manifestation. The first thing I want to say is, yes, if you want to persist that way, you totally can. It's totally possible to persist that way. But the point I specifically want to make in this video is that you don't have to persist that way. You don't have to go through that angst of the emotional reaction, because in my opinion, that can get exhausting after a while. Like I said at the beginning, I've practiced persisting in that way, especially earlier on in my manifestation journey, and I still got a lot of manifestations that showed up because I persisted through the tears. But one thing I've realized as I've evolved in my manifesting is you don't have to. There's a much easier way to handle your physical reality and dissolve unwanted 3D circumstances where you don't have to persist through the spiral for every single manifestation. Because think about it, if you're consciously creating everything in your physical reality and you have to go through that type of persisting every single time you want something, it can get exhausting. It's tiring and it's not fun, and manifesting should be fun. We're here to create, we're here to experience reality and become more and more aware of ourselves. You shouldn't have to go through extreme emotional turmoil in order to get what you want. That's not what manifesting is about. And another thing to point out with that type of persisting is notice how usually when you do get your manifestation, it happens in one of two circumstances. The first circumstance is you persist until you can't persist anymore because you're so tired, or until you get to a better feeling state and you're like, okay, I am in control of my reality now and I'm good, I'm fine, and you go do something else. That's when the manifestation has room to just pop up into your reality. So yes, you can have your manifestations and you can persist through the tears and still get exactly what you want. But like I said, in today's video, I want to offer a much easier and efficient way of dissolving unwanted 3D circumstances in a way that allows you to keep your sanity and your enjoyment with the process of manifesting. And the secret to doing it this way is all about learning the art of non-reaction. As you guys can probably tell if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm a big fan of practicing the art of neutrality when it comes to selecting the reality that you want, and also when it comes to handling my physical reality. This isn't to say that I am feeling nothing all day long. Rather, I practice this art of getting back to a state of calm, relaxed observation mode when I'm experiencing something that I do not like, or when I want to change something that I do not like. Because calmness and non-reaction and relaxation is direct access to your God state. It's how you go from experiencing physical reality to stepping back and observing physical reality, or getting back into your God state, which is your power seat, and where you can observe the thing that you do not like rather than experience the thing that you do not like, and then pivot to the thing that you do want, or the thing that you do like, or the thing that you do prefer. For me, that's the art of manifesting, is getting really good at doing that over and over again as you play the game of creating your reality consciously and then experiencing your reality. Because by practicing this art of non-reaction in the face of a triggering, unfavorable 3D circumstance, what it allows you to do is to keep your power as you slowly step back from the thing you do not prefer, regaining your awareness of yourself, your God state, I am God of my reality, and then switching to the thing you do prefer, the thing you do want, the thing you do like in your imagination. Because remember, your power does not lie in changing your 3D or your 3D set of circumstances. Your power is all about learning how to calm yourself down from the 3D reality so that you can naturally step back and switch from experiencing mode to observation mode, remind yourself who you are, I am God of my reality, and then pivoting and then persisting in your end result that way, whether through affirmations, visualization, new storytelling, inner conversation, what have you. It's like playing a game with yourself when you start really getting good at this art. The 3D reality is completely irrelevant. It's dead. It's physical, but it's completely dead. It's you that's giving power and meaning and movement to the 3D reality every single time you focus on it. So, like I said, yes, you can, if you want, persist over the 3D reality or set of circumstances until you feel better from persisting, or until you feel tired and fatigued from persisting that way. But I would highly encourage you to start practicing this art of seeing your 3D circumstances, and instead of reacting to them or even acting in the face of them, instead just practice very indifferent and very calm observation of the 3D circumstance. Which, when you first start doing it, what you'll notice is that your body will almost have like a freak out as you're sitting there kind of focusing. But I challenge you to do absolutely nothing in the face of your 3D circumstance. I mean, obviously, if you are in a life or death situation, act accordingly, right? Most of us in our manifestations are not in that kind of situation where your physical survival is immediately being threatened. And what I mean by immediately is like, there is a person in your physical face right now trying to harm you, or there's a car or a bus about to run you over, or something like that. Obviously, if something like that is happening, move, right? Act accordingly to that. And even in those situations where it's immediate life or death, the art of remaining calm and aware is your best chance of survival. There's a saying out there that only the calm survive, and the reason why is because they keep their head. They're not playing into this fantasy of fear. They're maintaining their complete awareness of the situation and staying calm and letting things naturally work in their favor. They're just practicing the art of maintaining control of their awareness and focus. And you can do the exact same thing when it comes to manifesting and learning how to persist. And what you'll notice when you just practice this art of non-reaction in the face of a 3D circumstance is that things will naturally unfold for you in a more favorable way. I have practiced non-reaction in very triggering situations where I was just focused on calming myself down and not doing anything about what was happening in my 3D reality, only to have the 3D reality shift in extremely favorable ways that I could have never imagined or forced in that particular moment. And all I had to do was calm down and not react to the thing I did not like. Remember, your power is not in changing the 3D circumstances, whether physically, like physically manipulating your 3D circumstances, or trying to change them with your imagination. That's not where your power lies. Your power lies in changing yourself. And the way to most effectively change yourself is practice this art of non-reaction so that you can practice calming down vibrationally, regaining your seat of power, which from my perspective is neutrality. That's your seat of power. Maybe even affirming, hey, wait, I'm God of my reality. And then from that seat of power, pivot to what you do want or what you do prefer or what you do like, and persisting that way from that state of being, from the state of being of neutrality. Because if you affirm in chaos, you're just going to perpetuate the state of chaos, which is not bad, but just be aware that what's more than likely going to happen is you're going to to tire yourself out and then naturally get you back to that state of neutrality where you feel better and more relaxed, and then you can keep persisting from that state. Or you're going to get your manifestation in the state of chaos and then experience your manifestation in that state of chaos. Or you'll get your manifestation, you'll be enjoying it, but then going forward with future manifestations, you'll feel like you have to persist through this stress when that's not even the case at all. You get to enjoy your life and still get what you want. You don't have to tire yourself out persisting in order to get what you want. The name of the game when it comes to manifesting is all about self-mastery, from my perspective. If you want to get really good at manifesting, practice self-mastery. Practice controlling your reactions to physical reality and practice controlling your indifferent focus to what you want rather than what you do not want. For me, this is one of the most enjoyable ways to practice manifesting. And it feels like every single time I neutralize a trigger, I level up. I gain another level of indifference that allows me to apply it to bigger and better manifestations that I decide to go for. And even if you're someone who decides to persist through the tears, that's totally okay. You can definitely manifest and persist that way. But notice that you're only doing that in order to change yourself, not necessarily to get your manifestation directly, that is. Your goal is to only ever change yourself and then let the 3D do its job of reflecting you back to you. And as you persist through the emotional reaction you may be having or your set of circumstances, ideally you're just persisting until you feel better, until you feel lighter, until you feel not in the state of being of not having the thing that you want or in the state of being of freaking out. Practicing non-reaction to 3D circumstances will naturally dissolve them because, like I said, it'll allow you to not be triggered by physical reality and it'll allow you to pivot your attention back to having the thing that you want in your imagination, and the circumstance will naturally dissolve. I've had a plethora of situations where I have practiced non-reaction just for the sake of non-reaction, and without even me choosing the reality that I wanted to experience or selecting the best desirable outcome in that particular situation, it naturally just happened because I did not react to the situation. And it changed literally right before my eyes. I've had situations where I've been triggered because I had to pay an unexpected bill and I just found a way to calm myself down and let it be okay and not react to the fact that I got a bill in the mail, only to find out that I didn't have to pay the bill in the first place. I've had a situation that caused a negative reaction in someone in my physical reality and it caused an argument between us, and I just practiced this art of not reacting and staying very neutral in that experience, only to have that person completely snap out of the emotional reaction they were having and start apologizing to me for reacting the way that they did, even though I had not intended that. Non-reaction is probably one of the best skill sets I have learned to apply to my physical reality just for the sake of applying it, so I got to keep my mental sanity. And it has never failed me. And I use it now with all of my manifestations and in my process of persisting. Compared to the past way I would persist in my physical reality, I now practice non-reaction first and then persist. It's basically like a pre-step before I start persisting again. But I make sure that I'm non-reactive first and then I persist. So if you really want to get good at dissolving unwanted 3D circumstances, practice non-reaction. When you get really good at this, you will never leave your power seat. I highly recommend it. It is, like I said, one of the best tools I have ever started applying to manifestation. And let me know what you think about the video in the comments below. As always, I love hearing everyone's different perspectives, but that's all for now. Until next time, keep creating, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.